You've been sabotaging yourself with motivation. Every January resolution, every New Me declaration, every Monday morning where you swore this time would be different, your own mind treated each one like a threat and quietly dismantled it while you slept. The mechanism behind this is so consistent, so predictable, that researchers can watch it happen in brain scans in real time. And the worst part is that the harder you push, the stronger the resistance gets. Your mind runs on a principle that most people never learn about: homeostasis. You've heard that word applied to body temperature. Your body keeps itself at 37 degrees Celsius, whether you're in a sauna or a snowstorm. Brilliant system. Keeps you alive. But that same thermostat exists for your identity. Your self-concept has a set point, and your subconscious defends it with the same ferocity it uses to defend your core temperature. Try to change too fast, and an internal alarm trips. Think about what happens when someone wins the lottery. Within 2 to 3 years, the majority of winners report being no happier than before. Many end up worse off. The money changed, the circumstances changed, the identity didn't. So, the subconscious dragged everything back to baseline: spending habits, relationships, stress levels, until external reality matched the internal set point again. The same pattern shows up in the opposite direction. People who rebuild after losing everything often end up right back at their previous level of success. The external world shifted dramatically, but the internal blueprint held firm. That blueprint is the target your subconscious is always steering toward, course-correcting every time you drift too far in either direction. So what triggers the resistance? Speed, magnitude, the size of the gap between who you currently believe yourself to be and who you're trying to become. A person earning $40,000 a year who affirms "I am a millionaire" every morning creates a gap so large that the subconscious reads it as a lie. And the subconscious has a brutal policy on lies: reject and suppress. The affirmation becomes noise. Worse than noise, it becomes evidence of the gap, reinforcing the old identity every time the words feel hollow coming out of your mouth. This is where most self-help advice crashes into a wall it can't see. The advice says, think bigger. The subconscious says, stay small. The advice says, leap. The subconscious says, anchor. And the subconscious wins almost every time, because it operates below the threshold of conscious awareness. You feel the effects: procrastination, self-doubt, mysterious fatigue, right when you need energy most, but you rarely trace them back to the source. The resistance has a physical signature: that tightness in your chest before a big presentation, the sudden urge to check your phone instead of writing, the way you find yourself reorganizing your desk when the real work is sitting right there waiting. These are all the thermostat kicking in, generating friction proportional to the distance you're trying to travel from your identity set point. But the thermostat has a flaw, a design vulnerability, if you want to think of it that way. It responds to rate of change, and it calibrates against your current self-image. Both of those variables can be manipulated slowly. Picture a frog in warming water. The metaphor is overused, and the biology is actually wrong. Frogs do jump out, but your subconscious genuinely works this way. Shift the temperature 1 degree at a time, and the thermostat recalibrates to each new normal before the next shift arrives. The alarm never trips because no single change is large enough to trigger it. This is the principle behind what behavioral researchers call identity-based change. Instead of setting a goal and chasing it, you adjust who you believe yourself to be, in increments small enough that your subconscious accepts each one as plausible. A person trying to become a runner doesn't start by training for a marathon. They put on running shoes and walk to the end of the block. The subconscious doesn't fight this. Walking to the end of the block is consistent with the current identity. No alarm, no resistance. The next day, they jog for 30 seconds. Still within tolerance, the thermostat barely registers it. A week later, they're running for 5 minutes. 2 weeks after that, 10. Each step is small enough to feel almost boring. That boredom is the point. Boredom means the subconscious has accepted the new behavior as part of the identity. The set point has moved, and now it defends the new position just as fiercely as it defended the old one. Here's where it gets interesting. The subconscious doesn't just stop resisting, it starts helping. Once a behavior crosses the threshold from "thing I'm trying to do" into "thing someone like me does," the entire machinery of habit and identity flips direction. The same force that was generating procrastination now generates motivation. The same thermostat that was pulling you back to the couch is now pulling you toward the track. You feel wrong when you skip a run. That discomfort is the thermostat defending your new set point. The shift happens faster than you'd expect too. Research on habit formation suggests that the average time to automaticity, the point where a behavior feels natural rather than forced, sits around 66 days. Some behaviors lock in faster. Some take longer, but the critical variable is consistency of small repetitions, each one casting what behavioral psychologists describe as a vote for the new identity. Enough votes, and the election flips. The mistake people make is trying to win the election in a single vote. One dramatic gesture, one massive commitment, one all-or-nothing transformation. The subconscious counts that as a coup, and it responds accordingly, with full counterinsurgency. Every defense mechanism fires at once. Willpower drains. Excuses multiply. Within days, sometimes hours, you're back at baseline, wondering what's wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. The system is working exactly as designed. It's protecting you from what it perceives as instability. Your job is to move so gradually that protection never activates. There's a practical framework for this. Start with the smallest possible action that's consistent with the identity you want. Want to be a writer? Write one sentence. 1. To be someone who meditates? Sit still for 60 seconds. The conscious mind will scream that this is too small to matter. Ignore it. You're calibrating a thermostat, and thermostats don't respond to ambition. They respond to sustained, repeated evidence. After the initial behavior locks in, after it feels automatic, after skipping it creates more friction than doing it, increase by the smallest possible increment. 2 sentences. $2. 2 minutes. The subconscious recalibrates again. Then again. Then again. Each recalibration becomes the new floor, the new minimum your identity will defend. 6 months into this process, you'll look back and the distance will seem impossible. You're running 5 miles, you're writing 1,000 words a day. You've saved a meaningful amount of money. Each individual step was trivially small. The accumulated distance is enormous. And the best part, you don't need willpower to maintain it anymore. Your identity handles maintenance automatically. The thermostat is now set to the new temperature, and it fights to keep you there. Critics of this approach argue it's too slow. They want it by Thursday. The counter-argument writes itself. How many Thursdays have already passed? How many radical transformations have collapsed back to baseline? The gradual method feels unsatisfying precisely because the subconscious accepts it without drama. There's no heroic moment, no montage, just quiet compounding shifts that stack until the person in the mirror is someone the old version wouldn't recognize. One detail most people miss: the identity shift has to come first, before the behavior feels natural. You declare, "I'm someone who runs," after 3 days of jogging to the end of the block, when the declaration still feels slightly aspirational but no longer absurd. You're leaning into the edge of the identity, stretching it just enough to make room for the next behavior upgrade. The subconscious tests the claim against recent evidence, finds enough supporting data to accept it provisionally, and adjusts the set point upward by a fraction. That fraction is everything. Stack enough fractions and you get a whole new person. Stack them slowly enough and nobody fights you, least of all yourself. You've probably watched someone in your life transform over a year or two. They didn't announce it, they didn't post about it. One day you just noticed they were different, calmer, sharper, more deliberate. You asked what happened. They probably shrugged and said something vague. They couldn't point to the moment it changed because there was no moment. There were hundreds of moments, each one too small to name. Each one shifting the thermostat by a degree so slight it never triggered the alarm. That's the method. Boring, invisible, almost embarrassingly simple. And it works precisely because your subconscious never sees it coming.